أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing great, and we are now going to continue our negative sentences with emphasis. Okay, so the sentences such as it is so not true, or absolutely false, or absolutely not true. Okay, and in this lesson, in 8p that is, we are going to study the emphasis by three special formations. Okay, so let's get on with it now. All right, so I hope that you remember the entire illustration that we did in the previous lesson, and this was the portion that we have already covered. Okay, so you've got mala, laisa, in, and all these things. Okay, and the most important thing for these haruf is that the khabar has to be nasab. Okay, all right, then you have today's lesson, which is going to be about the three specific formations. Okay, so we'll be studying these: this, and this formation. Okay, now they put a huge stress or an emphasis on the sentence. Okay, so it's and their emphasis is slightly different from the other kind of emphasis. Okay, so the emphasis that is put by, for example, this formation is entirely different from the type of emphasis that we have from this formation. All right, so that's what we are going to try and appreciate in this lesson, inshallah. Okay, so first of all, just a brief reminder that huwa salihun, he is pious. If you want to make it a negative sentence, a regular negative sentence, then it's going to be ma huwa salihan. All right, you have this nasab form. All right, he is not pious. And then we come to our first formation. And what is that first formation? Along with this ma, you simply add the harf jar b with the khabar. Okay, and hence you get a jar majroor fragment, roughly. Okay, because whenever you've got a harf jar, all right, if you whenever you've got a harf jar right next to your ism, then it has to assume the jar form, obviously. Okay, so it may give you um, a different implication, all right, but the fact remains, whenever a harf jar enters in whatever formation or in whatever scenario, if you've got a harf jar with an ism, then the ism has to be in jar form. All right, so what are you going to observe here? That you had a simple regular negative sentence, ma huwa salihan. If you make it, if you want to put some stress in it, then you are going to simply add this b with the khabar, as going to be ma huwa bi salihin. Okay, and this thing gives you the impression or the implication of absolutely not. Okay, so he is so not pious. This is what is being said or captured in this formation. Okay, so that's what I've said here, that ma plus b plus khabar. Okay, or this thing can be also obtained by using the word laisa. All right, so for example, you've got a regular negative sentence that mallahu. Now this is actually ma allahu. Okay, but since it's a bit too much, or too it's a bit too hard, or it's a bit not too smooth to say ma allahu. All right, so we simply skip the two alifs and then we simply say mallahu. Okay, so it's just like it is becomes it's. All right, so it's like a contraction. Okay, so mallahu ghafilan. All right, now Allah is not oblivious. Now you want to put even more stress that by no means is Allah oblivious. So what are you going to say? You're going to simply add this b to the khabar, and then it would become mallahu bighafilin. Okay, Allah is not at all oblivious. Okay, you can simply feel this thing because you can't exactly capture these things. Okay, But once you understand the implication of these formations and all these things, then you would feel much comfortable in Arabic. Okay, inshallah. All right, next example. Ma hum bimu'minin. All right, now what is this? All right, let's play with it a little. Forget about this be for a minute. Okay, you've got ma hum mu'minina, or forget about this ma as well. All right, start from the very beginning. I'm saying hum mu'minuna. All right, why? Because this is my pronoun, rafa pronoun. All right, and this would be a jumla ismiya, because hum mu'minuna, for example. All right, this would be my sentence. They are, all of them are believers. Okay, now I want to make it negative. Okay, so what do? I add ma. What would this ma do? It is going to cause this mu'minuna to be in nasab form. So we have our nasab mu'minina here. Mahum mu'minina. Alright? But remember how we studied in section A that the nasab and jar forms of certain words, of certain plurals and all these suffixes are the same. So if we add this be again, because we want to add stress, okay, this bi mu'minina is actually jar. Okay, the mu'minina with b is, I'm sorry, the mu'minina with b is jar. Okay, but mahum mu'minina would be nasab. Why? Because there is nothing to make it jar, but here we have something to make it jar, so mahum bi mu'minina. Okay, so this is what. All right, now this was just the grammatical part. Okay, so if you want to, this is for your for the labeling part. Okay, so you know what each part means and what kind of i'rab each part has. All right, but for the implication and the essence point of view, you know that it means a super stress. Okay, so mahum bimu'minina, not at all, or simply by no means. They are by no means believers. Okay, then you've got a lot of exclamation marks after that. Okay, so start appreciating and understanding these things, these implications of the formations in Arabic now. Okay, they are most definitely not believers. Okay, وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. Okay, this is from the second ruku of Surah Al-Baqarah. All right, then you've got alaysa. Okay, yeah. So we had studied this ayah, modified form of this ayah actually, of this statement in the previous lesson. All right, and I told you that the actual sentence, the actual regular simple positive sentence was Allahu ahkamul hakimina. All right. Then I told you that if we add alaysa, then it would become alaysa Allahu ahkamal hakimina. Okay, and then I am going to tell you that I want to add super stress to it, so it's going to become attached with be, and hence it's going to be alaysallahu bi ahkamil hakimin. All right, so that's how you're going to say it, because this very question has so much in it, because the very combo of a and laysa make it have some degree of stress, and then you are adding this be with the khabar along with this negative particle, then this sentence is quite rhetorical, and it has a lot of emphasis in it. Okay, so alaysa Allahu biyahkamil hakimin, is Allah not the wisest of all the wise and just people? All right, because there are two meanings of ahkam, so it can either be used for a wise or just. Okay, so I hope that you can now start understanding and feeling the impact of this be in this statement, in this question. Okay, all right, then you've got another one, mahum bizarina. All right, you can do the same thing as I did for mahum bimu'minin. What can you do? You can remove this ma and you can remove this be. Okay, so it's going to be hum zaruna, they are harmers. Okay, now, there is no such word as harmer in English, but remember, we are more concerned with capturing the essence of words in Arabic. Okay, so that's why I translated it as harmer. Okay, because that's how I feel it better when you're teaching a language. Okay, so hum zaruna, for example, it would be they are harmers. Then I am going to say that they are not harmers, and for that I am going to make it a very regular negative sentence, and it would become mahum zarina. This zarina would be nasab. Okay, now I want to add even more stress. So what do? I simply add this be, all right, and it would be translated or understood as they were not by any means harmers. Full stop. All right. So that's what. So I hope that this formation is clear to you, and that now you can start appreciating this formation while you're reciting or listening to recitation, inshallah. Okay. All right. Now we are going to come to our second formation. This is quite interesting actually, and you could call it the species terminator or total negation. Okay, now let's just understand a bit of background. Okay, so if for example you say that I help someone, okay, now that help could be anything. Okay, it could be in the form of it could be a financial help, it could be physical help, it could be mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual help, it could be any kind of help. Then it could either be helping someone out of the way, and it could also be a tiny little help, for example, just lending someone your pencil to work. Okay, so this is also help. So there are very different kinds of helps. They come in different flavors, they come in different varieties and different intensities. Okay, so that is, and this thing applies to everything that has been created. Okay, so there are different kinds of water, for example, there are different kinds of animals, there are different kinds of everything on this earth and beyond, all right, has a variety, all right, both in terms of quality as well as quantity. Okay, and this entire sentence can simply be said that everything has a different species. Okay, so that's where we get the word species. Okay, so everything has a variety. Now if you say la nasrun, because we did that previously, okay, this would simply mean, or la khawfun. Okay, we studied la khawfun alayhim, that there would be no fear on them. So if you say la nasrun, it would mean no help. Okay, but it would still leave that tiny bit of possibility that perhaps a tiny little bit of some kind of help may still be there. Okay, so perhaps you would not help someone going out of your way, but you may still have you may still, or that person might still find some kind of help from somewhere else. Okay, so the entire possibility of help hasn't exactly been eliminated. Okay, so that is what la nasrun would mean. However, okay, so you could remember it with this, that there are some disinfectants that kill 99.99999% of germs, but they do not kill 100%. Okay, now if I mean the formation of la nasrun or la khawfun, for example, refers to this scenario, killing of 99.999% of germs. Okay, but if you're using this formation that we are about to discuss, then it would be an absolute disinfectant, because it is going to kill 100%, or yeah, it's going to kill 100% of the thing in question. Okay, so if you're going to say la nasra, okay, then it would mean that no help of any kind, like all the varieties of help, all in both in terms of intensity or quality or quantity, have been negated, have been terminated, have been eliminated. Okay, so total elimination, this is what this pattern or this formation signifies. Okay, I hope that this is clear, because in the beginning it's quite hard to understand this concept. Okay, I hope that I made it clear. So the entire species or the variety of Nasrun gets wiped out. Okay, why? Because this formation kills 100% of the germs. You could remember it that way. Okay, and what does it mean? It means that no help of any kind, of any sort, by anywhere, or by anyone, would be provided. La nasra. Okay, so no help of any kind or sort or type. Okay, this is what it means, la nasra. Now, how do you make this pattern? You simply make this by making the ism right next to la as light. All right, so you check off its tanween. Then you make it wahid. It has to be wahid, of course. Then you make it nasab. Okay, la nasra. All right. So if you have this formation, then it means that it is the absolute terminator. All right, or you could call it absolute negation, total negation. There are many terms for this, but the actual term for this is hesr. Okay, that's how you write it, hesr. Okay, but if you don't want to remember it, it's totally fine. Just understand what this thing actually means, what it implies. Okay, it implies total negation, 100% killing of the germs. That is what it implies. Okay, I hope that this example would be useful for understanding this concept. But still, if you need any more clarification on this formation, just let me know and I'll try and make it simpler. Okay, so la nasra would be absolute disinfectant, killing 100% of the species. Okay, total eliminator. So after this discussion, let's look at a couple of examples. I hope that you have understood what this entire pattern means. All right, so let's go through a couple of examples now. La zillun. Zillun, it means shade. Okay, so la zillun would mean no shade or no shadow. Okay, but since it is zillun, it has tanween, all right, and it is rafa, and it has tanween, all right, then this simply means that some possibility of some kind of tiny shadow somewhere still exists. Okay, but if you want to remove this possibility, then you're going to say la zilla. Okay, so no shade of any kind, of any variety, of any quantity, of any intensity. That is what you're going to mean, la zilla. Okay, similarly in Surah al-Baqarah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the angels that he's going to make, when he told them that he's going to fashion their human beings, Hazrat Adam, then at that time, the entire story, okay? So that's when the angels said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we do not have any kind of knowledge in any intensity or any, we haven't got any kind of knowledge uh, except for what you have taught us. So la ilma lana illa ma allamta na. All right, allamtana is actually allamta, anta allamta, and then na is your nasab for nahnu. Okay, so except for what you have taught us. So they use la ilma lana. Okay, they did not say la ilmun lana. They said la ilma lana. So basically, they are saying that we had no knowledge whatsoever of any kind, all right, except for what you have taught us. Okay, so la ilma lana. Next you've got, all right, now this is your second ayah of Surah al-Baqarah. La raiba fihi, raiba. Now if it were raibun, it would mean that some kind of possibility of doubt, or of doubt would still exist. Okay, la raibun, but you're saying la raiba fihi, so it means that no doubt of any kind is present in it. Okay, so now you're going to appreciate this, inshallah. La raiba fihi. All right, then we know this one now. Okay, so um, now once again, this is a very rough translation, but you can now understand, because once you know what the word ilah means, you are going to appreciate this statement even more, inshallah. Okay, so what does it say? It says la ilaha. It doesn't say la ilahun. Okay, so this is the total eliminator. Okay, so la ilaha illallah. There is no ilah of any kind in any capacity except Allah. Okay, now once again, as I mentioned earlier, there are multiple aspects to the word ilah, and roughly it has been, and quite commonly it has been translated to God. So at this moment you may understand it as God, but soon I'll be telling you what exactly this word actually means. Okay, I'll inshallah post a link soon. So no ilah, at this moment simply understand and appreciate this formation. La ilaha illallah. Okay, no ilah of any kind, anywhere, all right, except Allah. All right, now that you, inshallah, I hope so, that now that you have understood this formation, la zillu, la zilla, la ilma, la raiba, la ilaha, now you'll be able to understand this. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi. Okay, so let's just analyze it a bit. Not only does this statement have the neither nor stress, okay, that neither is there whole nor is there quwwah except with Allah. Okay, quwwah means strength, and hawla means change in the current state of rest or movement. Okay, I'm going to elaborate what this word means. Now, most commonly we come across the translation of this la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah as there is no power nor any might except for Allah. Now, this is not exactly what it means, okay, because once you understand the meaning of the word whole, you are going to start appreciating the profound meaning and depth of this statement, inshallah. So let's spend a couple of minutes on the meaning of hawla, okay, and or rather we'll do this at the end, simply complete this last thing for now. So we'll study that later, okay. And at this moment, just study the third formation first. So you've got ma illa, la illa, and in illa formations, okay? And you simply translate this as it's nothing but true, or nothing happens except that Allah wills it, okay? So it is this kind of um, formation, and yes, it does provide strong stress. Now I haven't given any examples over here. You are going to solve them by your own, on your own selves. I'm sorry, you're going to explain, you're going to solve these examples on your own, and they are in the worksheet. Okay, so you're going to solve these examples on the worksheet on your own. Okay, so this was our third pattern. Now let's come to la hawla wa la quwwata. All right, now the thesaurus defines the word hawlun as taghayyur, as something that is taghayyur pazir or harkat, has harkat or intiqal. Okay, now this entire thing simply means that there is a change in something's current status of existence. Okay, so before we study the example, let's study a common observation that is going to help you understand the example too. So for example, if something is still or stationary, not moving, then it is going to maintain its current state of stillness unless an external force acts upon it and then causes it to change that status. Okay, so for example, if a ball is lying there on the table, it's going to stay there unless it gets moved by either an earthquake or a person comes and just flicks on it. Okay, so uh, until and unless an external force acts upon that ball, it's going to stay there still. Okay, there is not going to be any change in the status of that ball. Similarly, for example, let's say that ball was that was an ice ball, or that was just simply a snowball. Okay, uh, or simply you just you had some ice in the mold of a ball. Okay, so what did you do? You simply kept that ice out on the table, all right, and then it melted. Now that ice has changed into water that has undergone haul or taghayyur. Okay, it has changed its current status. Okay, so that is what is meant by taghayyur or simply haul. Okay, now I hope that this meaning of change in existence is clear now. Okay, now this is the basic and the literal meaning of the word hawla. Now you are going to extrapolate this idea further. How? That this change in the current status of existence can be applicable to almost everything. For example, you can see the physical world. I just gave you the example of ice converting into water. That is taghayyur, that is change. All right. So all the things that we have in the physical world are changing, constantly changing. Okay, now you've got your physical world, then you have the moods, emotions, psychological world, thought processes. All right, then you've got your natural phenomena, spirituality, intelligence. All right, so you are applying this basic concept of change in something's current status of existence to various other things, to everything that is in existence, be it physical world or abstract world. All right, the world of spirituality to even intelligence. All right, so now that you understand the meaning of hawlun or simply hawla, you are now going to understand this sentence. Okay, now see what I've done here. Now, there are many different ways to understand this sentence. However, the one that I feel the closest to is what I have presented here. Okay. Now, once again, this is only a rough translation, because now that you know the meaning of hawla and you know the implication of la nasra, all right, formation, la nasra formation, you can now very well understand in your head what this word means, what this statement means, la hawla. Okay. Okay, so I have still attempted a very rough translation, trying to capture everything in this statement. All right, so let's see what it is. Now, this illa billah is actually common to both the parts. There are two parts of this statement. All right, so you've got the part of la hawla, then you've got the second part of wala quwwata. All right, and then you've got the third part, illa billah. This illa billah is actually common to the first part. All right, and the second part as well. So it's actually la hawla illa billahi, and then you got wala hawla, wala quwwata illa billahi. Okay, but of course you're going to mention it just once, because that's what eloquent languages do. Okay, so how are you going to translate it? You're simply going to say that there is no change of any kind in any capacity in anything, and it can be brought about by no one except with the facilitation of Allah. And there is no strength of any kind except that possessed by Allah. All right, so what does la hawla mean? It means that whatever if there is any change that anything can undergo, it can only be brought about by Allah. All right, that's what it roughly means. But in your head, you understand what it means now that you know the word hawlan. Okay, so la hawla illa billahi. Okay, that if you want to bring about some change in your life, in your thinking, in your thought processes, in your intelligence, in your work, all right, in anything, in your spirituality, in anything, then there is no power that exists that can give you that change except for Allah. Okay, so that's what I say here, that all the changes that the creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have undergone throughout the history and will continue doing so till eternity are solely facilitated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right, now whether it's a physical world of physics or the abstract world of thoughts, emotions, moods, etc., if there's any external force that can cause them to be changed, stirred, or evolved, it's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, only His help must be sought for any reforms that one might want to bring in or around themselves. Okay, so my advice, as you can see here, is that you should try and understand the entire sentence in Arabic instead of attempting to translate it, because your silent understanding is going to be better than all the eloquent translations put together. Okay, because you see, that's the reason behind our learning Arabic. Okay, so I hope that this profound statement of la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah is now clear. And in the next lesson, inshallah, we are going to address this part of the negative world. Okay, we are going to study some specific words and some specific combos that are used to make emphasized negatives. Okay, so till that lesson, which is lesson 8C, barakallahu wa lakum fil Qur'anil Hakim. Allah Hafiz.